Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
Anybody in this country doesn't minimise their tax. They want their heads ring.
Socialists don't like ordinary people choosing, or they might not choose socialism.
The answer is might, because I want to do you slowly. I want to do you slowly. I was saved by God to make America great again.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
All right, everyone. So we've commandeered the the CPAC media space, I guess you would call it. So thank you for CPAC for allowing us to have this space. And I'm here with a very special guest, Edwina, who's the director of Australian Firebrand.
Yeah, we've got the shirt.
Yes, it's a very good shirt. You just need to start selling those shirts.
Not yet, but we will maybe in the future.
Yeah, I'd wear one around, but I'm black banned from everything.
Well, you know you're doing the right job when the people who aren't allowed into anywhere want to be your friend. That's a good yardstick, I think.
Now, you guys had an event in Brisbane yesterday.
We sure did. We had a housing and immigration summit. It was great. We had Gerard Rennick, we had Malcolm Roberts, we had Stuart Bonds, we had Hugo Ospil-Lennon, who is like the king of foreign policy conversation on YouTube and TikTok for the under 30s.
Yep.
There is no one who is more watched percentage-wise. We had Jack Posobiec given, a special speech. It was really fun, and I was glad to be there.
So people watching are probably thinking, another group that I have to support or get behind.
Not at all. I don't want your money and I don't want your influence.
Yeah.
I am in it to make political campaigning that works. It is about being effective. I definitely think a lot of politics on our end has been sort of corrupted by, the Steve Bannon concept of just flood the zone with shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of what's made is against something, not for anything. And we really saw that with the Liberals last election. Mums for nuclear. What mums? What mum have you ever met that talks about nuclear energy?
Yeah.
They were doing so well on immigration, and then they decided to put out things like the interstellar meme.
Yeah.
I think that political campaigning can be done better, and it doesn't have to cost millions and millions of dollars. And I'm tired of seeing everyone on our political range's money be taken away to achieve nothing.
So you say that you don't want to be against something, you want to stand for something. What are the things that you stand for?
We are for politicians who are pro-pausing immigration or turning to remigration. We are pro-Australian parties. We are pro-Christian family parties. We are essentially pro-supporting conservative ideals and supporting it in a way that makes it appealing, that makes it good, that points out the hypocrisies of the other side.
Yeah.
And we don't think you need $1 million to do it. And we stepped in to make something where you're essentially making media that hits people who have a 15-second attention span, who don't know why they care about politics and who need a reason. You need to give people reasons. And the idea that every person has like a personal wake-up which makes them political, it doesn't always happen that way.
Why do you think political campaigning on the right has been so ineffective in this country for maybe a decade or longer?
I'm not sure if you're able to publish what my real answer to that would be. We have a problem with ineffectiveness.
Yeah.
We have issues with grift. We have problems with unclear goals.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that unclear goals is something that tends to happen a lot, because when you talk to a conservative and say, what makes you conservative, it doesn't look cute, it isn't sexy, and it's never a good one-liner. If you're selling that to someone who's not like you, why do you do this? Oh, because I want to be a good person. It's never a good answer.
Yeah.
And I think that the first thing we can do is stop treating advertising like donation pools that take in anywhere between $10 and $25 million in a year, and what are they doing with it?
Yeah.
So here's my challenge. Stop doing that.
When I asked you what you were about, why was immigration at the top of the list? Why do you see that as being such an important issue? And the event that you had yesterday was all about immigration and housing. So
if you want to stop the economic lying that's going on, the only thing you need to do is turn off the immigration tap. You can Reform monetary policy. That's a 2-decade job that's going to take multiple senators and lawmakers and policymakers. You can build more housing. We've already proven that we can't. We cannot build housing to match demand. We're not set up for it. We don't have enough trained tradespeople. We don't manufacture anymore, so we don't manufacture what we need. And we change the pay scale for junior tradespeople so that it makes them not economically worth doing for them, because they go in on juniors rates and then stay in on juniors rates until they're 25. You're never going to get people in on that. So we don't have enough people to do the building.
Yeah.
The very thing that would reveal the per capita recession that we're going through, which has been like what? I'm going to say 16 straight quarters now, which is a real recession. The government and the ABS have just decided to change the statistics to suggest that it isn't. When your productivity is lowering and you are losing 40,000 full-time jobs, gaining 35,000 part-time jobs, and your birth rate to immigration is 3 immigrants to 1 birth, you are essentially hiding a massive economic hole.
Yeah.
If you want to actually start fixing your problems, you need to be able to see them.
One of the things that came out during your event was that immigration was really kicked off under John Howard, and a lot of it was, growing up in the John Howard era, we remember, stopping the asylum seekers and stopping the boats and all this sort of stuff. But
they don't come in on boats; they come on the plane. It was a great distraction.
Yeah.
What I find funny is there's a little reel of John Howard going around right now talking about how he was always been uncomfortable with multiculturalism.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's really interesting considering your government's policy. A lot of the time we treat it like conservative governments are always anti-immigration, when very often what they want is economic success, and you can create a lot of economic success when you repress the wages of your citizens by bringing in a ton of cheaper labour. And honestly, we're exploiting all of these people that come in and can't earn a real wage and have no rights, and we're saying that's okay. And honestly, I don't know why we all want to live in a world where no one will pick fruit or can peaches or can fish or do any of those things. We export raw materials out to create jam, to create pate. We ship out the oranges to Thailand to put them in a can. And ultimately, the great lie of my generation is that globalism made everyone richer. It made a small selection of society richer. And it means that everyone in Australia has a larger property portfolio than they do a share portfolio. And that's because we have higher household debt than anywhere in the world except Hong Kong when it comes to mortgages. I have children. I know you have children. Anyone who has a child and supports immigration is betraying their children and grandchildren's future, because your child will be too old to have a child by the time they can buy a house.
That's probably a big reason why I wanted to interview you today, because I was watching you up on the stage yesterday, and obviously, I mean, for me, despite the fact that you had Malcolm Roberts and Jared Rennick and Stuart Bonds and some really great speakers, I found that your speech at the end cut through more than any of them did. And it was because that you started speaking about your child and how much you're doing this because of her, and you're worried about the future of this country and what country she's going to grow up in, and that was a real motivator for you to start this. Do you want to speak a little bit more on that? Because, I feel the same way. I'm petrified about the future for my kids.
Well, how many mortgages are you personally supporting so that your kids will be all right? It is, the personal effect is being felt right now by the adults that are alive now and came up in the Howard era. Because if you bought pretty much at any point past 2005, a $1 million house becomes a $2 million house in that 15-year time span, which is ridiculous and obscene. We are such a rich country. We dig gold, alumina, all of this stuff out of the ground. In fact, we have simplified our economy to be more simple, I think it was recently, than Laos in Nigeria, and we came down to 114 on the Economic Complexity Index. I look at that. I want my child to be able to exist in Australia as an ordinary person who is not the top 10%, who isn't working in finance, who isn't working as a consultant, who isn't working 3 jobs, and to be able to have a home. And I want grandchildren. And realistically, my generation was sold the lie, just wait till you're 40 and you can have a child. The likelihood that I will get a grandchild if she waits until she's 40 is that much lower. This is unsustainable, and it is disgusting that government policy is to import taxpayers rather than growing them.
Why do you think more mothers are not getting involved politically?
Well, there aren't very many mothers. Statistically speaking, kind of in my age group, I know more people who are childless than have children.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, mothering is an isolating experience because the Australia that I grew up in, it was completely acceptable to take your child with you to go and have a pub dinner. That culture does not exist anymore. Beyond taking your kids to play centres, the park, and the very small number of family-friendly restaurants left, how do you involve children in your social life? So when you have your child, you're kind of cut off from the rest of the social world. And if you bring them to events with you, you're cut off anyway because people are uncomfortable talking to someone that's carrying a baby with them.
Yeah.
A good example is that they were not going to let children in today to CPAC because it's in a casino.
No, I think it's really added to the event today that there have been kids here.
Well, we are pro-family. That is the point.
I think they should do a CPAC for kids.
It would be good to see.
That'd be something.
But if we are conservative, we are pro-family, where are the children?
Tell me this, if you were to give a message to mothers who might be politically apathetic, they're not paying attention to the immigration numbers, not paying attention to the debt. I'm sure a lot of the mothers out there are not because they're too consumed with raising their kids. I mean, it's a full-time job. What would you say to them to get them to wake up to what's happening politically and how that relates to the future of their children?
Honestly, how do you capture them? I know very few mothers who don't also work. Most mothers that I know are sending their kids to daycare, picking them up at 4, looking for flexible work that fits around having a child.
Yeah.
And this is the great crime of our generation. Our children are in daycare all day, not with us.
Yeah.
And stepping past the whole child sex abuse scandal, do you really think it's a good thing if people are raised not by their parents? I don't.
Well, there's statistics out to say that it's not. I mean, children need to be with their parents until up to 3. I think it's 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, well, I'm spitballing, but I think all of the kids are crazy and mentally ill because we're not raising them ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think they form attachments to people that they shouldn't.
Well, I mean, I
There's
remember
a lot of
you can walk past the childcare centre and there's always that kid standing there at the gate, just like staring out, waiting for their parents to rock up.
Well, you go on any parenting subreddit and they'll say to you, it's totally developmentally normal. And then your kids start biting. That's developmentally normal. They start screaming. That's developmentally normal. And then we reach a point where 1 in 6 boys under the age of 4 are on an NDIS plan for autism.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, no, not a chance.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you believe that it's vaccines causing autism, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think that when it comes to capturing mothers, if we start to fix the economic system, if we make houses affordable to buy so that you don't need 2 incomes to purchase one, if you then suddenly have a population of mothers who don't have to work full-time and they raise their children at the same time, you will get mothers who are political. Let us remember that the suffragettes were women. We remember that prohibition was caused by women. So it is certainly not, there was the Iron-Jawed Angels, who were for women in the vote. Women are not politically inactive, but they certainly are politically inactive when there simply are not enough hours in the day. So do I have a specific message for mothers? Help us change the way the system works, and you might have time to think about something else. This is not working for anyone, and it's reflected in the birth rate. People have 1 and they're done because it's too hard.
All right, so tell us about Australian Firebrand. Can people get involved, or is it just a case of following you guys on social media?
Oh, look, send me an email. We'd love to follow as well. We're still small. Follow us if you want spicy, fiery content that gets right to the point. We're not afraid of talking about the things that people aren't willing to talk about. Obviously, I think I just covered at least 10 banned topics. Definitely, if you'd like to help us, we're always looking for people who have technical skill. So if you're a great editor, if you're great with a camera, if you want to volunteer and you know how to do something, you can make graphics, shoot me a message. I'd love to talk to you.
What email do they...
AustralianFirebrand.org. I still answer the email personally, so it's Edwina at AustralianFirebrand.org, although you can send me a Twitter message. I think TikTok's the one I see the least. But that's because, the interface is there's stuff everywhere, and I'm old, okay? I'm 35. TikTok sends me into a spin.
Don't say you're old at 35, jeez.
I am. When it comes to my preferred social media, I definitely am. But definitely, I think the thing we can use the most is if you care about this and you have skills, we love to hear from people who have skills, and you want to see it go somewhere. We're about fast, we're about efficient, we're about technically managed. Get in touch. Because
is there a mailing list on the website, or is there a way people can donate?
You can subscribe to us, but we don't regularly send out spam. Don't worry, you're not going to get tons of spam mail yet. We're not at that point. But definitely subscribe, and there's going to be new content all the time. But if you want political messaging that actually challenges people for doing the right thing, the wrong thing, we're it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thank you, Edwina.
Thank you so much for your time, Steve. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Right.